guys, it's Sheila Shimmers. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a tutorial on how to do your eyeshadow and how to blend it really nicely, how to make it look really put together even when you're a beginner, if you're intermediate in makeup. But basically this video is going to be more towards beginners. So if you don't really know how to do your makeup yet and you want some guidance, some tips and tricks and what brushes to use, then go ahead and keep on watching. So I would say the first step to have your eyeshadow blended really well is paying attention to what kind of brushes you use. I have my favorites here. I tried cleaning them as best as I could, but these are the ones that I just use constantly. I have tons of them. I'm gonna recommend you guys 4 because I feel like with these 4, you can definitely have a nice set that you don't need any more brushes. So these are all from Morphe. Okay, so right here I have my set. As you can see, these are all from Morphe. I have this one that is just a flat brush. I use this to put any shimmers on my eyes. I could even use this to put concealer as a base if I wanted to. Then I have my blending brush, which I really like because it's really small, so it lets me put the eyeshadow exactly where I want it on the crease. And then following that one, I have this one, which is really fluffy. I use this one to just blend out any the eyeshadow all together on the top or with a lighter color. And then this one is really tiny. I use this one to put either highlight on my inner corner or to put some eyeshadow on my waterline underneath my eyes. So this is a set. I really like it. I'm going to let you guys know what the numbers are in a second. So I'm going to let you guys know what the numbers are of the brushes in a second as the video is going along and I'm using them, but they're also going to be linked down below in the description box. But my next tip is to use a really nice eyeshadow base. I really like this one from LA Girl. This one is the LA Girl Pro Primer High Definition Eyeshadow Primer. I have this one on the shade Nude and I like it because you can kind of like draw it on where you want it, and it's really easy to use underneath your eyes or to clean up your brows, and it's just a really nice shade for my skin tone as well. So I like it. It's super inexpensive. Normally I would go in with concealer, but if you're a beginner I would recommend going with that eyeshadow base because I feel like it makes it so much more easier. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of paint on just all over my eye. And I'm going to bring it up towards the brow as well so we can clean a little bit underneath the brows. So as you can see, I'm putting a good amount of this on my eyes. So we kind of want the whole lid to be covered. Okay, the next thing that you can do is you can go in with a brush. I'm going to choose to use my beauty blender, my beauty sponge. And I'm just going to kind of blend this in slowly. You could also use a brush to just go really close to your brow and kind of clean up those edges. But I like to do it like this. I feel like it works really nicely for me. So now that we've gotten rid of my pigmentation on my eyes, we have a really nice base to start our eyeshadow and everything looks really nice and even. Now we can move on to the eyeshadow. Some people like to actually set their base with some powder. I personally don't like to use it that way. I feel like that really depends on what kind of base you're using. Like if you're using a really creamy concealer, I would totally recommend to set it. But normally I would just go in with my shadow and it would just works really nicely for me. And also the eyeshadow pigment, it looks 10 times more vibrant and just better overall. So I'm going to just show you guys which palette I'm going to be using. I'm going to be using the Sundown palette by CC Color, and you can find this one on Amazon. I really like it. It's really inexpensive. And it's actually a dupe for the Huda Beauty palette. So I'm going to start with a transition shade. I think in this case I'm going to choose to do this one just because I feel like starting off with this orange right here would be too dramatic. So I'm going to start with this one right here. So I'm taking my brush right here. This one is the small fluffy one. It looks like it's dirty, but it's actually because I cleaned it, spot cleaned it. And it's just like tainted. So this one is a Morphe M514. Like I said, it's going to be linked down below. You can find this at Ulta. And I'm taking this shade and I'm going to go ahead and place the brush like this. So something really important is to hold the brush on the ends instead of like really close to the bristles, because the more control that you have, the less your eyeshadow is going to look really airbrush and blended. So you want to hold it on the outside of the brush, kind of like almost like barely holding it. It's going to feel like you have no control over it, but that is actually what's going to make the difference. So we're going to go in and we're going to apply this right on the crease right here. And notice that I'm like barely putting any pressure on my eyes and just kind of blending it in like this. I'm going to go all over the crease, and the crease is basically that area where the eye folds and connects to my lid. I'm not really trying to like blend it out a lot yet. I'm just kind of placing this color down, and we're gonna just do this for a couple of minutes. Apply a lot of eyeshadow until it looks until the color really shows through. And then we'll go from there. So now I'm going to start to blend like this because I feel like I like where my color is. And I'm just going in circular motions all throughout my lid. And you can see that the less pressure that I put on my eyes, the easier the eyeshadow is actually blending. Notice that I'm never going too close to my brow. I'm just kind of staying right here on this area. Now I've took a little bit more eyeshadow and I'm just going to keep packing it on until I feel like it looks nice. Okay, so there we have our transition shade. I feel like everything looks really nice. We could keep going. Actually, I'm going to put just a tiny bit more right here on the crease. And notice I'm only making two kind of movements. I'm making either windshield washing motions, which is what I'm doing right now, or I'm going in really small circles like this and just blending it out. So another reason why I really like this brush is because I feel like it makes it really easy for people with like texture on their lids to just get in there and kind of like cover all the little cracks and the little texture. So there's no area that doesn't have an like eyeshadow, and I feel like that makes a really big difference for me in particular. So I just love this brush. And also I have really small hooded eyes, so I feel like if I use anything bigger than this, my eyeshadow wouldn't immediately transfer up to the top and it would just not be a good look. So my next step is to use a much bigger fluffy brush. This one is the M441 by Morphe, and I have no product on this one. I'm just gonna go ahead and kind of like clean up really close to my brow, and this is just gonna make the biggest difference onto everything looking seamless. This is a step that I repeat multiple times during my eyeshadow application. And I just go ahead one more time with the transition shade and kind of like go over it again after I've done that. Because sometimes I lose a little bit of pigment and I like to just covering that up. Next, I'm going to be using this shade right here. This is going to be my darker shade of the look. I'm grabbing this one with the Morphe M514, which is the first one we were using. And normally I would have just a different brush of the same one, but I'm just going to go ahead and pack this on the outer corner. So right now we're just kind of tapping it in on the outer part of the eye. We're not doing any blending yet. And you can see how the colors are really vibrant because I didn't set that base. It wouldn't apply as nice. So now I'm going to go ahead and just kind of slowly blend this without getting away from that crease. I'm not going any higher than the crease area. I'm just kind of blending this in on the areas that I already packed it on. And I'm not moving any further than the middle of the lid. I'm leaving the inside of the lid, like the inner corner, just very clear and bright because I feel like that is a really nice and flattering look. And also that is where our shimmer is going to go. So right now I'm just paying attention to the outer part of the eye. Like that. So now I'm taking the M441, which is a brush that I use to just clean up on the edges. And I'm just going to blend this out right on the crease. I still have no other product on this brush. I'm kind of just blending this out and just making it look very seamless. And I'm going to repeat this step a couple of times. I know it sounds like a lot of steps, so when you start doing this a couple of times, I promise you this is going to become so easy for you. The next thing I'm going to do is just take the same brush, the M514, with the same darker shade, and I'm just going to go over it one more time to just really bring out that darkness. The reason why I like to put a transition shade and also a darker shade is to bring a little bit of like dimension to the look and make it look a little bit more, I don't know, like a little contoured. I'm going back with the M441 and I'm just blending out that shade. I like to kind of brace my brow a little bit if I'm having trouble blending, but notice I don't bring my brush anywhere near the brow. I'm just leaving it right there on the crease until I feel like everything is blended. I'm also, remember to just put your fingers right on the end of the brush, not applying a lot of pressure. Those tips are definitely key, and you're going to start to see the difference if you start implementing it on your routine. So far we have used the transition shade, which is shade number 1, then we used our darker shade, which is shade number 2, and now we're going to use our third and final shade, and that's going to be our shimmer. So for this, I'm going to be using this flat brush M421 from Morphe. I really like this one, so I'm going to go ahead and just use a little setting spray and just really spray this brush a lot. Just make it really nice and wet. So I'm going to be using this Cucumber Water by Wet n Wild. And I'm just going to go ahead and do that. While it's nice and wet, I'm going to be taking this shade right here, which is going to be my shimmer for today. And I'm just going to go ahead and follow along all the way from the inner corner, trying to connect it onto that darker shade that I applied. So I'm just going to press down like this. Pressing down, kind of swiping like this. Press and swipe. I feel like these shimmers like this that are really thick, they just apply a little bit better like this. And then I'm going to follow along just that little path of my lid. Like this. And then once I feel like I've connected it right here on the top, I'm going to go ahead and stop. So then I'm going to apply a little bit more. If you feel like it's not looking too wet or is not packing on well, you can just spray your brush a little bit more until you feel like it looks perfect. And then right here, I'm just taking like whatever's left on the brush and I'm just kind of pressing it so it looks nice and blended. Alright, so I would say our look is pretty much done right there, but actually I feel like there's a way to elevate this look, keeping it really beginner friendly, but also like just making it that much more, I don't know, like pretty glam. I'm going to be using this little liquid eyeshadows from Sheila. They bring 3 different colors and I got this one from TJ Maxx, super inexpensive. So I'm actually going to be using this little one. This one is in the shade Follow Me Sun, and it's this one right here. I know it doesn't really match to what I have on my eyes, but I just feel like it's going to look really pretty. So I'm going to go ahead and apply this from the beginning, just following along where I put that shimmer shade. I'm going to be really careful. Just make sure that you start in the beginning and then you don't bring it too far up on that little line that we did. Just don't get too close to it, but definitely like spread it around as much as you can. So starting from the beginning right here, I'm just going to be applying this little shimmer. And I feel like the wands on this are really easy to use. So I'm applying this kind of like on the beginning, and right there you can see how much more shiny it looks. And I'm just going to follow along all the way to the end. I'm going to get a little bit more because I feel like I lost it, and I'm just going to kind of cover this up. When I get to the middle, I'm really careful that I don't get any more product, and also that I just kind of like spread it around to the point where you can still see the shimmer, and that kind of goes over the darker shade and not this, because otherwise you're going to see a really really emphasized separation between the two, and it's not going to look super nice and blended. So now what I do is I just kind of clean up, make sure that it's covering all the areas. Okay, so I'm going to let that just sit in for a couple of minutes until it dries, and then I'm going to go ahead and apply a little bit of eyeliner. You can definitely just skip this step if you don't feel comfortable with doing your eyeliner, or you can just do the eyeliner and not do the wing part if that helps you out as well. But I'm going to go ahead and do it just because I feel like some looks look a little bit too like empty when I don't do them, just because of the shape of my eyes. So I'm going to start right here, but I'm going to do a very small one. So I'm going to start right here. I feel like my small ones always look really weird, so it may end up being just a normal one. But now I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of highlight on my brow bone, and I'm going to go ahead and use this one right here. And for this, I'm using this brush, which is the M326 from Morphe. I'm taking this shade, I'm just going to apply it right here on the brow bone. And this is like the perfect size brush for your brow bone highlight and your inner corner highlight. I'm going to take the same brush. I'm going to actually go to the corally shade that we were using in the beginning. And then after that, I'm going to just mix it in a little bit with the darker one and just apply this right underneath my eyes. Really close, right here. And kind of blend this in really close to my lashes. You can see how easy that was to blend. Now I'm going to go on to the darker shade. I'm putting this right on the outer corner. Because I'm wearing an eyeliner and I'm also wearing lashes, I like to use a black eye pencil and kind of run it through the back of my lashes. And this is really uncomfortable, but honestly you can see like how much more complete this eye looks than this one. I could also do black eyeliner underneath my eyes. Sometimes it makes my eyes look a little bit more like smaller, and sometimes I don't like that look, but for this occasion, because I don't have like a darker shade underneath, like my dark shade is pretty orangey, I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and I'm gonna run it all the way through the waterline. I don't know how there's people that do this without holding down their eye, but I cannot do that. So now it's almost done. The other thing that I'm going to do is put some highlight or some little eyeshadow on my inner corner. And for this I'm going to be using the Morphe M326, which is a tiny little one that we were using. So I'm going to go ahead and use this palette from Catrice. This one is the Iman and Catrice palette. I'm going to go ahead and use this shade right here, which is called Whistler. And you can also wet your brush. But I'm going to start like this with just the brush like this. And then we're going to go ahead and wet it with a little bit of setting spray. And that's going to give it like the ultimate oomph and look really nice. So I'm wetting this. By the way, I'm almost out of my Wet n Wild and it's making me cry. Okay. So I did wet this, and I'm going to put just a ton of this because I'm obsessed with this color. Our finished look. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video and it was really helpful to you guys. Those are my little tips on how to do eyeshadow when you're a beginner, or even right now I just follow my own steps. And yeah, if you want more tutorials like this, let me know below and I'll be sure to do them. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, don't forget to subscribe below, like this video, and I will see you guys on my next one. Bye!